Hey everyone, welcome to another video of Tau Club. My name is Bilal and I'll be your instructor for today. I hope we are all having a great day, ready to learn as much as you can. So what are we going to be talking about today? Well, today we're going to be talking about cells. So I've mentioned this word a few times, but what exactly are cells? Imagine them as tiny building blocks. Your body is made up of trillions of them. But what exactly do they do? Think of cells as mini factories. Each one has a job, from making energy to fighting off germs. And just like a factory, cells have different parts. We'll get into those in a bit. So, they're the basic unit of a living organism, and anything that's living is composed of one or more cells. So, how does it look? What functions does it have? We'll get into that. In general, there are two types of cells. We'll cover both of them and the differences in between them. Right? The first type is an animal cell. The second type is a plant cell. But I assume you all know the difference between animals and plants. So let's get right into it. An animal cell looks kind of like this. It's just like a blob, you can think of it. And what is keeping everything in the blob together, right? So this cell blob is controlled by this outer layer or membrane which holds everything else inside, and this is called the cell membrane. Easy to remember, right? We're going through a lot of vocabulary, so make sure to take as many notes as you can. Alright? The plant cell, on the other hand, has a much more rigid structure. So it looks kind of like a square rectangle from one side, and its outermost layer is called the cell wall. And think of the cell membrane as just being fluid, right? But a cell wall is like a brick wall. You cannot change it or move it any which way, which is why it's a rigid structure. Within the cell wall, plant cells also have the cell membrane. So why do plant cells have a cell wall but animal cells don't? Well, that's something I'd like you to find out on your own and make sure to add into your notes. It's very important, so don't forget about that. So now let's discuss cell organelles. To break it down, inside every cell, whether in plants or animals, are tiny structures called organelles. Think of these like the cell's mini machines, each with a specific job. The star of our show today is a nucleus. Remember how atoms have a nucleus packed with protons and neutrons? Well, in cells, the nucleus is where the DNA is stored. So what is DNA? Imagine the DNA as the ultimate cookbook. Just like recipes tell you how to make delicious meals, DNA provides all the instructions for how a cell lives, works, and even when it should die. It's a cell's life manual. Without these instructions, the cell wouldn't know what to do. That's the magic of the nucleus and DNA. So the expansion for DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid. Okay? You can write that term down if you would like. It's not too important, but it's helpful to just know what it is. DNA is the most essential part. It contains our genetic information, as you might have heard of it, for us to live, to be born, and how we are right now. Like the color of our eyes, the shape of our face, everything is determined by the DNA. Alright, let's go on to the next organelle. This organelle is called a vacuole. Okay, that is spelled vacuole. 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 Now here's the difference between these two cells. Animal cells have small vacuoles spread throughout the cell like this, while plant cells have a large central vacuole. Plant cells need a lot of water to survive, right? Because they need to get their energy from the sun directly. However, animal cells are getting a constant supply of water, and they don't necessarily need that water to get to form and make their energy, right? They only need their water to survive by other means, which is why plant cells have a much larger vacuole than animal cells. Let's go to the next one. This is what is famously called the powerhouse of the cell, and it is mitochondria, right? Mitochondria. The mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cell. They're what convert energy from what we eat into energy that these cells can use. Okay, so animal cells have a lot of these mitochondria. Let me just draw 3 like that. And plant cells have, let's say, just 1 mitochondria, because animal cells get their energy from the sun. So there's another organelle specific to animal cells called the chloroplast. This is what gives leaves their greenish color, because the cells in the leaves have this green chloroplast. This chloroplast is what takes in energy from the sun and whatever nutrients the plants may have taken, and converts it into main energy for the plant cell to use. Alright? So what else do we have in a cell? There are a few more complex things that we have in the cell, and they're called the endoplasmic reticulum. Alright? These are in plant cells as well, but because our drawing there is a little crowded, I'll just draw it in an animal cell, but imagine it's also there in the plant cell. Alright? So I'll just draw like that. So just know that it exists in both. Okay? So endoplasmic reticulum, there are 2 types. There's a smooth and a rough. So what do I mean by smooth and rough, right? How can there be smooth and rough things within the cell? Well, let's get to that. So surrounding the nucleus, right, you have something that looks kind of like this, alright? Then you also have some more of these weird looking things, which are the endoplasmic reticulum. One of these endoplasmic reticulum is a bunch of bumps along its surface. Can you guess which type it is? Yes, that is the rough endoplasmic reticulum. And the one without bumps is the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Each of these ones have their own functions, but we'll get to those functions a little later on once we've covered all the organelles, right? After this, there's one more called the Golgi apparatus. Okay, the Golgi apparatus. Golgi apparatus also looks pretty similar. It's something like that, right? And we'll also get to its function right after this. So both the endoplasmic reticulum and Golgi apparatus exist within the animal and plant cell. So these are just the main organelles within a plant cell and animal cell. There are many more smaller ones and more complex ones, but for now we'll just cover these main ones, right? There's just one more thing I would like to say. So now let's talk about the gooey goodness that resides within your cells. Imagine you're floating in the middle of your room. What's holding you there? Air, right? Well, in a cell it's a bit different. There's this jelly-like substance called cytoplasm. It fills up the space, keeping everything in place. Think of it as a cell's jello. Cytoplasm isn't just a filler. It's got a job too. It helps move stuff around, like nutrients and waste. It's like a conveyor belt at a factory. And it's where all the cell's action happens. Tiny little machines called organelles are busy at work inside of it. So next time you think about cells, remember, it's not just empty space in there. It's a jiggly wiggly world of cytoplasm. Stay tuned for more information on the 4 main macromolecules in our body: photosynthesis, cellular respiration, and protein synthesis. Thank you very much. Have a great day.